Hi, everyone. Welcome back. It is really good to be here with you all after a few weeks of hard work on the farm, winterizing, getting down, milking Rose, our Jersey cow, and helping her get settled in, figuring out her food situation, which has been interesting during the winter months. But I think we've nailed it. And we've also harvested two of our pigs, which I know I've mentioned in previous episodes, but it's been full on and it's been fun and a lot of hard work, but a lot of rewarding hard work. And I really truly understand that there's never a dull moment on the farm. And I think that's what parents probably say about their kids and when they have kids, that there's never a dull moment. So my wife and I now say that we decided to get farm animals instead of having kids. We feel good about the decision. So, um, yeah, today, it's been an amazing day here because we're getting around a foot of snow. We have maybe a little over half of it at this point, and honestly, I hope we get just dumped on this year with regard to snow. So many people are excited that it doesn't snow in their area anymore when it's supposed to snow in their area. And I remember growing up that the snow would literally pile over our roof. And I grew up in upstate New York. And I remember when I was a kid, no, but seriously, we had ice storms and heaps of snow and long, snowy upstate winters. And now I talk to my family back there who live there, and most of them still live there. And they're like, "You keep the snow, don't send it this way." And I'm like, "Wake the fuck up. I love you guys, but you want and need the snow. You need it. Say it with me. Ticks, forest fires in Ontario, drought, dying trees. Come on." So, it's still not striking any chords when I say, "Hey, I think you guys might want to encourage the snow," but they seem to be happy with less snow. But the ticks are insane back east and in these humid areas because it doesn't get cold enough anymore. There's not enough cold and snow and long cold winters. And let's not even get started on the EMF issue and how it fuels all of this as well. Fortunately, hopefully people will become more aware of this, but I know it's like those memes when you're at a party and the guy's like on the swing. I'm sure you've seen this meme, and he's like just by himself with his head down on the swing, and he's like, this is what happens when you talk about EMFs at a party or something like that. So but speaking of the EMF issue, how many of you, and if you haven't, bring more attention to this, if you want, and see what you think. But how many of you have seen an increased number of like handshakes and tremors and coordination issues and twitches and stuff like that over the past few years in people? I know I have. And I'm not just talking about in older people who have Parkinson's. I'm seeing this in 20, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds. Now that I'm 40, I think 40 is still young. But when I was 20, I thought 40 was so freaking old, right? But honestly, this is happening more and more, and I'm seeing it more and more. And we'll go hang out with some friends or a dinner party. And I don't see this as much now that I live very rurally. But when we lived closer to town, the more shakes and tremors, like people would, honestly, and I don't know if they notice it or they don't notice it or they don't want to admit it or what they think is going on. But when we lived closer to town, and even in town when we lived in Sedona, man, it was really prominent. I call it iPhone arm, because of all the EMFs that are just getting juiced into the veins by holding the iPhone all day and scrolling and being on Chinese TikTok and whatnot. But this obsession that's happened with our devices and the total inundation of Wi-Fi has been like adding gasoline to anybody with a genetic predisposition to neurological, central nervous system issues. You know, it's just like pouring gasoline onto this already compromised situation. And, you know, today I want to talk about DHA and how this omega-3 fatty acid is a fatty acid that much of the population is significantly deficient in, and that actually gets depleted by non-native EMF exposure. And it's also a nutrient, a molecule that's needed by the heap in those who struggle with neurological disorders and brain issues. Now, you know, if you're relatively new to the EMF talk, I just want to be clear that there's currently two types of prominent types of EMFs. There's non-native EMFs that are man-made, and there are EMFs that are provided by nature. And when we try to alter the EMFs in nature, such as through wireless devices like Wi-Fi, cell phones, etc., these have massive health implications. And when we spend more time, however, in native EMFs that are, the people are like, oh, there's radiation from the sun. They're so concerned about that, but they're like inside on their Wi-Fi. It's like, doesn't even make sense. You're like, hey, the thing about that is the EMFs from the sun, your body and DNA and biology is hardwired to operate and function in that type of environment. When we put ourselves around cell phones and Wi-Fi, you know, we're in a totally artificial environment. And if Google or some other fucking device asks me if I want to activate artificial intelligence on my computer, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Just keep hitting no until they don't let us hit no anymore, right? But anyway, what I want to talk about and focus on today is DHA and the importance of this omega-3 fatty acid and the deficiency issues globally with this fatty acid in most people, and how EMFs impact non-native EMF exposure, impacts and depletes our DHA levels. But I also will talk about specific conditions that actually need more DHA through the diet. And so I want to talk about that as well. Now, before we even get into DHA, I want to really make it clear that whenever I talk about DHA and throughout this episode, I really want to make it clear that I am never, ever, in no way, shape, or form referring to DHA in a supplement form or in vegetarian, vegan, plant-based form. And honestly, I don't care if the supplement is wild caught. I don't care who recommends it. I don't care who it's endorsed by, or if it says first cold pressed. You know, I really don't care what claims the bottle makes or who made them. The truth of the matter is, pressing oil out of a fish requires processing, requires heat, requires a lot of extra processing work to extract the oil. And it's not as pure as the real deal source of DHA is, meaning from actual wild caught fish and shellfish. So I just want to put the DHA supplement baby to bed, just, you know, tuck it in, good night. And that's not ever what I'm referring to when I talk about DHA. So today I'm going to teach you the importance of DHA, the role of DHA in the body, why you likely need more DHA. And this all is especially and most notably true for anyone with a neurological condition a CNS, central nervous system condition or disorder, anybody with a brain injury, or anybody who's addicted to their devices. So before I go there, I have a workshop that I want to tell you all about. I want to invite you all to a workshop I just released on my site called Root Causes of Disease. It's a 50-minute workshop that breaks down root causes of disease. And I know this is a very trendy phrase right now, root cause. And honestly, I think this is well-intentioned. I think there are so many people out there that are coming to realize and understand the importance of uncovering the root cause of things, of many things, including their health struggles. And while this is a really huge and important realization, and I think we're really on the right track here, most people aren't quite getting the story right as to, oh, the root cause of is this or that. And this right here, establishing the root cause, and there's never one. Let's just be honest. There's never one root cause of why somebody has something, right? There are many root causes. And this right here, though, uncovering this story is absolutely key to overcoming and truly preventing chronic disease. So if this is a topic you've been wanting to learn more about, or if you really want to start uncovering why you struggle or why your clients struggle with certain ailments, even after doing all the right things with diet and circadian practices and so forth, then I invite you to take the workshop to learn root causes of disease from a place of real depth and in my experience, accuracy. And you can do so by hopping over to my site, heatharshepard.com, and you'll see the root causes of disease workshop tab at the header, on the header of my site. Lastly, I know some of you have been visiting our farm store. Thank you so much for that. We so appreciate it and love getting you our goodies and sharing it with you. And I want to let you know that the farm store is open through the holidays. I'm super stoked about it. You can support your vitamin D levels with our organic lard or leaf lard. I use it to cook veggies in, meats in, fish. It has a gentle flavor, much more gentle and mild than beef tallow. Not that I'm saying not to eat your beef tallow, but lard is one of our best dietary sources of vitamin D. So for those of you living at higher latitudes and you're struggling with your vitamin D this winter, this could be a really awesome way to support your vitamin D levels. We also have our homemade bean to bar chocolate bars over there. And I'm excited that our lard lotion is ready for you. And that's not, we're deciding what to actually call it. But lard lotion, I'm not, maybe some homesteaders are going to get on board with it, but I can't say that's going to be a big sell for most people calling it lard lotion. But I'm gonna say the only ingredient is lard. We have one also for people who don't want any scent of an animal on you, which honestly lasts literally 2 minutes and then it goes away. Like you smell the lard lotion, which the only ingredient is lard, by the way. The only ingredient I put in it is lard. And so, you smell it, you're like, oh yeah, that's lard. I can smell the lard. And listen, my wife uses it and she is not about smelling like animals. I'm going to say she has 4 planets in freaking Virgo. And she says that this lotion, I shit you not, is the best texture of lotion she's found. Okay, I've tried for years to try to find a lotion that she would use, and like we ditched coconut oil because honestly it didn't help our skin all that much. It made us feel a little bit itchy, to be honest. So anyway, we have an original just lard lotion with no other ingredient, and then we also have one that has wild rose oil in it for those who don't want 2 minutes of animal smell on their skin. So I've been experimenting with this recipe for a while and I think we've nailed it. And so I'm really stoked to have you all try it. You can head over to our site, ojoconejo.com, and go to the farm store tab, and you can see all our goodies over there, including the lard lotion. Okay, let's talk DHA. And as a reminder, you know, I just said this a minute ago, but I just want it to be like so clear. Nobody's like questioning, like, Heather, what about this or that? This is DHA. The DHA I'm talking about is from real food, particularly from wild-caught fish, wild-caught shellfish, not from vegan sources like plankton or algae, not from a pill, not even fish oil in a pill, mixed with like some sort of butter. Nope, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about DHA. They go out, boom, they catch the fish, and there's your source. It's whole food source, okay? So that's what I'm talking about throughout this episode, and whenever I talk about DHA, honestly. And there's actually a lot of science behind why not vegetarian, plant-based DHA. There's a lot of science on this that's actually, for those of you who are sciencey, are really, it's actually, you know, pretty interesting. Now, I'm not going to go into scientific detail as to why DHA from real food sources is important, but I think just to give you an insight as to why, Heather, are you saying not to get it out of a pill, right? Because well, let me just mention here very briefly that DHA from vegan plant sources does not actually enter the pathways of the brain. It's mainly processed by the liver. So it bypasses this loop in the brain where the animal sources of DHA enter and actually feed and fuel the brain. So, you know, this is DHA from wild-caught fish and other animal sources, such as eggs that the hens were able to graze on pasture. This is also another awesome source of DHA. This form of DHA actually enters the brain and provides all the central nervous system benefits that DHA has to offer. Now, the reason I don't like actual fish oil in a pill is more for the processing issues. That shit has to be rancid well before it gets to you in your home. I don't care who sells it and what the label says. It's absolutely impossible for that oil. How long, if you put a piece of fish in your fridge, is that going to last till it spoils? So we're going to extract the oil and keep it in a pill, and then, you know, months at best it gets to you after it's been caught. That thing is going to be rancid than an old fish. No thanks. Okay, so this is not what I'm talking. That's why I'm not a fan of like cod liver oil or these sort of things, and I don't care if it's fermented, you know, period, point blank. So what we know about DHA is that it's a main fatty acid that the human brain, it makes up the human brain. Of course, sure, there's iodine in the brain, there's cholesterol, there's other fatty acid, there's other molecules, but DHA is there and it's strong, and it plays key supportive roles when it comes to the health and function of the central nervous system, which is why I encourage whole food DHA sources for the clients I work with who struggle with brain injuries, brain trauma, or neurological conditions. And the reason why is because central nervous system disorders, in these conditions, the brain is affected. And this fatty acid, this omega-3 fatty acid, plays a huge role with regard to brain health. Now, the entire body contains heaps of mitochondria, right? But the brain has the most mitochondrial density for its square footage, for its tiny square footage. Now, this is important and relates to our topic today because DHA is a primary fatty acid in the mitochondria. So now we see, holy shit, that means there's all these mitochondria in the brain. It's literally the most per square footage in the entire body. And so we have higher requirements naturally for DHA in this area. So we also have to understand that even for those who don't struggle with a brain injury or a TBI or a CNS disorder or a neurological condition, that the human brain needs DHA. And we need to bring this piece in because we're like DHA, brain injuries, DHA, CNS issues, DNA, neurological conditions. The piece we have to add in here is DHA, artificial light, DHA, EMF exposure. The more someone is inundated by artificial light screens on their devices, the more DHA they're going to require. Why? Because artificial light enters the eye and over time triggers brain inflammation. So the eye is an extension of the brain and contains its fair share of DHA as well. When my wife had a retinal detachment from a car accident injury, she was hit by a car when she was little, and experienced years after a retinal detachment that we very much correlate to that incident. And I'll talk more about DHA, but we both ate heaps of it, especially in the beginning stages of healing our brain injury. And I'm not lying, it was a superfood. It was like, whoa, something's really going on here in a very positive way. But I want to get back to this deal about artificial light, because for one, the eye is an extension of the brain, and we also know that what happens, the light that enters your eye, all the circadian hubs back here receive that information. What color temperature is coming in? Is it blue? Is it green? Is it ultraviolet? Is it infrared, right? And it then signals to the brain, hey, this is the type of light that's present, so release cortisol, release this hormone, release, etc., release melatonin. And so what happens is the brain, or excuse me, the eye as an extension of the brain contains its fair share of DHA. So anybody struggling with eye issues, also, I would highly recommend eating more DHA. That would be of great benefit to this population. Now, here's the deal with artificial light, because we know that looking at artificial light, and I'm talking about if your home is lit with LED lights, or if you're looking at a screen all day and you don't have any type of filter on your screen, like iris and sleep mode is like cream of the crop, right? Let's say you don't have any of these things, your kids, they don't have any of these things. Let's just say they're just looking at screens all day, they're playing their games, they're on TikTok, whatever it is. Or let's say you currently work a job that's primarily online. First of all, get your screen red, but that's, I'm trying to stay focused. So, artificial light, we know that looking at any type of this artificial blue light, especially after dark, without protecting the eyes, delays the release of melatonin. And when the release of melatonin is delayed, then the duration of healing is shortened during your sleep. We're supposed to heal. We're supposed to repair. We're supposed to regenerate during sleep. How do we do that? With melatonin. Melatonin stimulates autophagy, stimulates apoptosis, which, what is this? This is cellular repair. This is removing dead cells from the body that no longer function optimally. If you aren't getting enough melatonin through UVA light, and if you're depleting that, your melatonin stores and delaying its release by looking at artificial light after sunset, guess what? You're not going to heal for as long while you sleep. So this right here, this practice alone shortens the amount of healing one undergoes at night. Now, what we also know, tying this into DHA, is that artificial blue light depletes DHA levels in the brain, in the eye, thereby promoting inflammation and in these areas and making it more susceptible to attack. Okay, so lack of DHA in the eye also, which is depleted by artificial light screens, also lowers melatonin release after sunset. So this is really important. This is really important because all of our effing kids are on devices all day, right? Or most of them. And this is a real issue. But not only that, anybody who's looking to lead a healthier lifestyle, they want to eat healthy food and think they need a diet to do so. What they need to do so is stop looking at a screen, eat more DHA, go outside in sunlight. So, even if you don't struggle with a diagnosed brain injury or neurological condition and you're just looking at heaps of blue light every day, your brain is going to suffer and you're going to set the stage for brain issues with the CNS and neurological conditions down the line, as well as gut issues. Because, the light that we look at helps to stimulate the production of certain gut bacteria and the production of serotonin, which is needed for this process as well. So blue light stifles this whole process. Now, let's be clear here, because we need to understand, and I talk about this at length in my root causes of disease workshop, that I mentioned is now available on my site, but there has to be, this is key, there has to be a genetic predisposition in place in order for somebody to get any disease, period. The diseases and health issues we struggle with is not like Russian roulette, just chance, I'm picking a tarot card and let's see what I get. It's not, okay? We all have genetic predispositions. So someone who struggles with a neurological condition like autism, like epilepsy, like Alzheimer's, to name a few, you don't just get these disorders by chance. You get them due to the activation of a genetic predisposition. Now, of course, we can put the brakes on our genetic predispositions, and I even suspect we can reverse our genetic predispositions, and this is highly individual. It depends on a lot of things, but I do sense that that's possible. I'm not going to talk about that today, but if you're listening to this and you'd like to talk more about that, send me a message or something, and I will. But, to help support this reversal, I focus on diet, I focus on sunlight, and I focus on homeopathy as my healing cocktail to go about this. And since I'm focusing on DHA today, let's talk about how you can use this fatty acid to offer yourself more brain protection, in an effort to support your brain health and slow the progression of any genetic predisposition on this level, whether it's for you or one of your clients. So for one, a diet rich in DHA, there's a few molecules here, and DHA and iodine, they go hand in hand if you're, getting this from wild-caught sources. But a diet rich in DHA, iodine, iron, vitamin A, vitamin D, and cholesterol will nail it. This will help safeguard against inflammation in the brain. And many foods that contain these nutrients, you won't have to, my DHA from here and a little iron here and a little most foods that contain DHA also contain those other nutrients, and vice versa. So, just to give you some perspective and insight here, the brain needs 25 to 35% omega-3 DHA fat to function optimally, okay? So if the brain is functioning suboptimally, you're going to want to up the intake of DHA. When I had my brain injury, it was years after I realized the superpower status of DHA. I had heard of it, sure, everybody's heard of DHA for years and the health benefits, and I've had so many NDs put me on in the beginning stages when that was the route I started with, put me on DHA and fish oil to heal my brain. It did nothing, it really didn't. It probably just made my liver more toxic, and I was eating spoiled oils, so it probably didn't help me at all. But years after that, I realized how to use DHA and utilize its superpowers by eating real food sources. And honestly, it was about a year to a year and a half straight that I committed to eating wild caught fish and shellfish at least 5 days per week for, one meal a day. My brain needed the medicinal power of DHA to help my brain recover from its TBI. And my wife did this as well, at the same time. And she had her retinal detachment 13 years ago. And, most people have a retinal detachment. They need cataracts, a few months later, and then their other eye has a retinal detachment, and this whole vicious cycle plays out with regard to retinal detachment, cataracts, etc. It's been 13 years, and she's had no additional detachments, and she does not have any cataracts. And the ophthalmologists are just like, oh, you're just a rare bird, which she is. but I really suspect this combination of DHA from real food sources with a therapeutic dose of the Sunlight RX helped me and her make huge strides in healing our brains. Today I work with a lot of people with brain injuries, from TBIs and concussions to brain hemorrhages to epilepsy and neurological issues, tremors, shaking, all of this. And to best support these populations, several things have to be included in the healing plan. One, get them to eat more DHA from real food sources and get them in the sun. Literally, their healing in life depends on it. Teach them the Sunlight RX, which you can purchase for under $20 on my site. And the other thing we need to do is to likely significantly reduce their screen time and get them off of Wi-Fi. Listen, if you haven't got rid of your Wi-Fi yet, 2024 is your time. This is your year to get rid of Wi-Fi. Rule number 76, no excuses, play like a champion, right? There are literally over 1 million reasons why you need to do this for your health. We're talking DHA today. We're talking neurological health. We're talking CNS health. Think of the pulsations, the vibrations, the currents, the frequencies that are needed for your brain health and to support the flow of your cerebral spinal fluid. And, inundating yourself with Wi-Fi absolutely is going to mess up this pulsation, the healthy rhythm and flow. So, if you're like, I just need to convince my husband, why? Dude, no. Just tell him you're leaving if you don't get Wi-Fi, if you don't get rid of Wi-Fi. If you want more insight as to why, including the real science behind how Wi-Fi and cell phones impact your health, go ahead and pick up a copy of The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg and stick it in his stocking this Christmas. Okay? Now, honestly, that is so important for this situation, for anybody with health issues. But this is like literally one of the best gifts you can give yourself. Now, I'm not going to get into Ethernet and blah, 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 and how to go about it, but I'm going to give you this insight because this is something that even after I got Ethernet, it took me a little while to understand. You've got Ethernet, amazing. Get the grounded Ethernet cable and plug in at Tech Wellness. And then it's like the EMFs are, no, they're not even there. You don't even have to worry. So if your kid's addicted to devices, at least after you can get rid of the Wi-Fi, and maybe they're gonna cry and complain about it and say, Mom, you're the worst ever and I hate you. Too bad. I don't mean to be like a total dick, but let's be real. This isn't something to take lightly. And and it's something most people have taken lightly, and most people don't understand. And so this also is a way that the people who are most addicted to their devices, I predict, are going to be most affected and impacted by AI, the AI crap that's all coming out, and the digital system and the digital currency system. And if we can work away from this now, I think, not without getting on too just forget YouTube with this one. I'm sure it'll take 5 seconds for them to pull it down with this info, but that's how they're going to keep more control over us, right? And like they don't have enough already. But the more proactive action we can take to support our health, the health of our children, by getting rid of wireless technology while we still can, no matter if you have a neurological condition or not, the better that whole scene is gonna go. And there'll be an event. There'll be some sort of event, like just like C19, where I was like, oh my God, this huge thing came in out of nowhere. And it's like, oh man, they're like one of the best memes I've seen. And it's like, it was good. It was like this person in like a cheetah mask, like a face mask for protecting yourself against C19. And it was like, it said, the virus escaped a level 2 biolab, but you can defend it by wearing a cheetah mask. It's like, that shit is what we're being taught. So the more we can teach our kids that that's not accurate, it's not helpful, it's a bunch of lies and BS, and to be their own person and to find their own unique expression and to do things that they're really passionate about outside of video games. And it's not easy. They probably already exist, but there's going to be a lot of addiction centers, I would guess, in the next 10 to 20 years for people addicted to their devices. So it's a real thing. Getting rid of Wi-Fi is a good start. It will at least support your health and the health of your family, your pets. Think about pets. Yeah, it affects everyone. So I hope you found this episode on DHA helpful. And we'll see you next week.